So it's July 2012, and I find myself in a very dry, dusty, remote part of Niger. And I'm in a hut where there's so little straw on the roof that the sunlight is beaming in rays. And the woman sitting across from me is dressed in a beautiful blue habib. Her name is Sadie Sine, and she has 5 children, and they are crawling all over her as she's talking with me. She's sitting on the edge of her bed, and she's saying to me, don't you see that we are suffering here? And she's saying to me, why that little health clinic that she can see from the window of her hut? Why can't I get my shot there? I need my shot. Why do I have to go 20 kilometers in this heat to get this shot? I don't know what to do. And as she sees me sitting across from her, all she sees is a Western woman who's there in a pair of khaki pants and a t-shirt, who's there to listen. But what she doesn't know is that I'm on my way to the London Family Planning Summit 2 days later to try and help her and so many women like her get the contraceptives that they want to have in places like Niger. I was the valedictorian of my high school class. I worked really hard to be the valedictorian. I railed against my parents freshman year of high school for sending me to Catholic school in Dallas, Texas, and not to the best high school in Dallas, Texas. And they said, no, we want you to be in this Catholic school because of the values that you will learn. And I said, but the only way I can get to the colleges where I want to go is to be the first in my class. And they said, well, then that's what you'll have to do. Now, along with being the valedictorian came another thing which I wasn't too excited about, and that was doing the graduation speech at my high school. But what that speech forced me to do was to really reflect on what I wanted to say to my class and what I had learned about my values. And I think the piece of the speech that encapsulates it the most is a quote that I used at the very end from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it says that success, my definition of success, is to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded. So for me, sitting across from Sadie and knowing that all this hard work we've done for over 18 months to get ready for this London Family Planning Summit, and to know that hopefully millions of women are going to get the contraceptives they want, it was exhilarating to sit there across from her and think, we're going to get a clinic like that, thousands of them up and running in the developing world. The very next day, I found myself in rural Senegal. In this time, I was in a very different hut. It was cold and dark and cool, and I was sitting across from a group of women, and they were all crouched inside their pieces of cloth with their back. They were almost as far against the wall as they could go, crouched in. And they were there to talk with me about female genital cutting, a practice that they had chosen to end in their village. But all of these women had not only been cut, they were grandmothers and mothers, but they had participated in having their daughters cut. And they described how they had held their daughters down, they'd taken them away from the village, and they'd done this practice. And as they described what had happened, the tradition as they called it, they said, we didn't know. Our ancestors had always done this. We thought we couldn't marry our daughters unless we'd done it. When our daughters would hemorrhage to death, we thought it was the evil spirits, and now we know better. And the translator sitting next to me, Molly Melching, who'd been working in rural Senegal for over 30 years, she said to me, Melinda, I can't translate everything for you because I don't think you could take it. And finally, the only man sitting in the room was the village chief. And he lifted us out of the shame that was in that room. And he said, you know, when you all bring information to us, we're like a field. We are seeds that are in the ground, and we grow up to the sunlight. And what I had seen in that village that day was so remarkable. The work that Molly had done with the villagers over so many years. I saw not only women using and talking about contraceptives, I saw men pulling water out of the well because they said, we realize that's our job. I saw they rallied to the government to get a village health post. They'd gotten a healthcare worker from the government named in their village. Huge transformation in this village, everybody using latrines. It was really quite remarkable. But when I went back that night to my hotel room in the capital city, and I often take time to reflect at the end of the day, I spent probably an hour in silence. And I have to be honest, I was devastated, absolutely devastated, because these women's stories were so haunting. And so I did the only thing that I knew to do to reach out, was to reach out to a very close friend of mine. And I opened my computer and I started to write the email. And it's a friend who's deeply embedded in doing work in social justice here in the United States. And she knew I was on the way to this London Family Planning Summit. And I said, I can't believe it. All this work that we've done, that we're getting ready to do, and that I'm so excited about, that we're about to launch in the global health stage, I realize that it's just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg, and I feel called to do so much more for women and girls. And so that's how I come to this work. Thank you.